You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Click, click, boom! I'm coming down on the right, folks. Well, happy Friday night. This is Rick Robinson. I'm one of the hosts here on Robinson and Wright, coming to you live every Friday night on KLRNradio.com, right here at 11 o'clock Eastern, and just a few minutes thereafter. I am joined this evening by my co-host, Mr. Dan Wright. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I am hanging in there. It's Friday. It's finally the weekend. It's a short work week next week, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Going to work on a Monday kind of already feels like a Wednesday. That's one of the reasons why I still hang around the day job, because I get lots of time off over there, and I get health care. So, otherwise,
yeah, I get to work Friday, so I get that. Yeah, it's cool. Monday I'm off. After Wednesday I'm off Thursday, but I got to go back to work Friday.
So that silence you heard right there, folks, was Dan flipping off his microphone because I don't have to work Friday. Just saying. I'm saying.
No, and I do that every year. I mean, I got a lot of people in our company travel for Thanksgiving, and we're a 24/7 company. So every year I pretty much volunteer for that, as long as they make sure that I'm off Christmas Eve, Christmas, and the day after Christmas, then I'm happy.
So, I mean, I'm just kind of really excited because it's getting to that time of year where I actually get some time off that I don't have to burn my vacation days to use. We get 2 days off for Thanksgiving and 2 days off for Christmas, so that's always kind of cool. The one thing I do miss about working on days like that, though, because back when I worked on those type of holidays, I was, like, running my own company, so I would always be the one to go out on those days. Because usually we work nights anyway, so all the stuff that was worth doing was already done. And I was making triple time to work those days, so it was kind of worth it. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, and I mean, for years, when we were a growing company, there were two of us that basically took all the on-call. So I've been on-call on Christmas 4 or 5 times with this company. And it pays well if I get a call, but now we've grown and we have all these guys in the rotation, and I just jumped back into the rotation just because they offered way more incentive to do it. And the first year back in the rotation, they tell me, "Oh, you're going to be on call on Christmas." And I said, "Wait a minute. Out of the other 8 guys, 2 of them have been on call for Christmas, and I have been 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to be on call for Christmas, or you can take me back out of the rotation." They were like, "Oh, okay, we'll figure that out." I'm sure there's somebody that's going to be pissed at me because they're on call for Christmas, and I don't care.
Let them eat some extra turkey later.
Exactly.
They'll be all right. If it was good enough for you for all those years, it's good enough for them now. All right, so anyway, lots of stuff going on in the news cycle. The left has been, the left has been being the left. And, you know, I've been saying this a lot this week. If I had realized that if Donald Trump would have won, how much of a meltdown the left would have had, I might actually, if I could, go back and change my vote. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's, you know, and you and I are in the same boat. He's the president. He's going to be the president. I mean, he's actually made some good decisions. I mean, he named who is it? Myron Ebel, is that his name?
Yeah, the new
to head up
for the EPA.
The EPA.
Lefties are loving that one, man. That dude is apparently
he's a climate change denier. Oh, they're just incensed about that. And I'll be honest with you, smart move. $25 million, get rid of the racketeering charge. It's gone. He's making some smart moves. He's making some moves, but I'll always hold a president's feet to the fire. I just always will.
Well, I mean, that's what.
I'll admit he's doing some things right. He is, and we'll see what happens.
No, exactly. You know, it's funny that you bring up the climate denier, because I'm pretty sure that tomorrow morning on Finding Common Ground, Bryce is going to have a meltdown over this, and I am sadly going to be looking forward to it as much as I shouldn't be. Bryce happens to be a friend, but I have been relishing in his pain just a little bit too much.
Yeah, I really like Bryce a lot. He's a good guy, and I know he's very distraught.
All right, folks, just got a message
feel
from
bad
the
for him a
Spreaker
little
server,
bit.
so I'm fixing. Hey, Ron, if you're listening through Spreaker, I promise I'm fixing it now. I kind of got distracted talking and forgot to flip the switch, so we should be up on the site right about now. So, hey, thanks. Welcome for those of you joining us on the KLRN website. You're about 4 or 5 minutes late to the party. That would be my fault. Host Monkey fail. But you haven't missed much. We've just been making fun of lefties and talking about the appointment of a air quotes, climate denier to the EPA Transition Committee, which I think is absolutely delicious because all the leftists, it's like, they're just, their heads are exploding and they're like, oh my God, all this work we've put in the climate change and he's going to destroy it all.
Yeah, and they're just, they don't know when to quit. I mean, and I know you saw it tonight. Alyssa Milano is melting down, and she feels the need to go on Twitter and to let it be known that she's melting down. And what does that do? It invites everybody in. They're doing the same thing in reverse that they've done for the last 8 years. The last 8 years, they've sat there and cheered and thrown it in everybody's faces and everything else, and now they want revolution because they've lost their leader. You know, they thought they were going to get a continuation of their leader, and that continuation is gone, and they are completely melting down. That's the only phrase you can use. They are melting down. And they're killing themselves more. You know, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I'm giving them hints on what they need to do, but
they don't take hints from us. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know,
they think what they're doing is right.
But it's interesting that you bring up Alyssa Milano. Because I actually noticed her little meltdown, and it reminded me of something, and I thought this was the perfect time to dust something off. We used to play this for a very specific someone who shall remain nameless, but for tonight, I think she has earned this.
You are listening.
I guess it helps if I hit the right button. Hang on just a second. My bad. Host Monkey not doing good tonight, guys. Okay, so the rest of it really won't fit because otherwise it becomes specific about a person that used to annoy the crap out of all of us. But I just thought, you know, you heard enough of that to know what song it was. And it fits right now because she's having a meltdown. And it's great. Yes.
And there's a few people having a meltdown, but that's the perfect song.
Pretty much it is, yes. Oh, but yeah, it's so interesting to watch all of this unfold. And, you know, of course, now they're having this meltdown over Sessions accepting a potential appointment as, I believe it was Attorney General. And they're talking about how he's this big racist, but apparently he was key in desegregating Alabama schools, but he's a racist. Got the death penalty for the head of the one of the KKK groups down there, but he's a racist. I'm kind of confused. Remind me what a racist actually is again. Because it seems to be a word that they just throw around.
It has no meaning. That word has no meaning anymore. It has zero meaning. And I love how they are all over vetting everything and everybody that Donald Trump puts forward. Yet we did with Obama, and they all said, you all are crazy. It drives me nuts. They didn't vet anybody that Obama appointed. I mean, he was appointing Marxists. Marxists. We are the United States. But everything was cool with them then. Now it's, oh my God, he's a racist because he maybe said something one time. That's where we are. Racist means nothing. I mean, there's people out there saying F all white people. And they're white. I mean, and then you say that's kind of racist, and they go, no, it's not. You can't call anybody a racist except for a white person. What does that mean? So our race isn't a race, but their race is a race. I really don't understand all of this that's going on, but I kind of like it because it's making them look like idiots.
No, it really is, and that's what's made a lot of this so much fun. And the sad thing is, I actually know someone who just put together the same type of thing that you're talking about. It was a picture of all these old white people all in the same room, and it was talking about all the different shades of inclusiveness in the GOP, and he's like, all the shades of white privilege. And I'm like, really? You're white. How does that work when you yourself are white? Why is it? I mean, and look, and this is one of the things that honestly, and this is hard to say, but this is one of the few things the alt-right got right, and then they completely twisted it into something completely insane. Why is it wrong for a race to actually care about itself? I'm not saying to elevate itself above any other race, but to say that white people are the only races, that's insane. There's an entire group of Mexican people that promote the Mexican race called La Raza. If you don't speak Spanish, that literally means the race. So explain to me how white people have the market cornered on racism. It didn't start as a racist group, but it's viewed that way because of the way people take it. And look, that's the whole thing. We have an entire generation. Actually, it's become multi-generational now, of people that cannot stand themselves because of what they see when they look in the mirror. And that's not singular to one color either. I know plenty of people of every race that look themselves in the mirror and they don't like what they see because society tells them one thing about themselves and their family tells them another and TV teaches them something else, and nobody really knows who they are anymore because they don't have the ability to stand up on their own. That's what we're watching play out right now in all of these different colleges all across the country. They don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at somebody like Ben Shapiro. He is booked and has people want to listen to him at a university, and that university literally tells him, if you set foot on the university, we are going to arrest you. We are going to arrest you for stepping foot on a public university to speak to people that want to listen to you speak. We will arrest you. That is Marxism.
No, exactly. I mean, we've watched, and this is the thing nobody's really talking about. We have watched an entire nation get dragged to the left, kicking and screaming. Now, look, I understand not everybody in the country is very far right from the center, but I do fully believe that the majority of the country is at least centrist, and that's what happens. We get one side or the other pulling too far, and then people start trying to correct, and then the fringes start pulling in the other direction. The problem is, over this last cycle, there hasn't really been a pendulum swing. It's been more like the outside edges of the right and the left are both pulling at the same time, and they're ripping the center apart. That's what's been happening up until now. And right now, what's happened, and even Joe Biden admitted this in a recording that Jen and I played last night, the people that voted for Donald Trump are not racist. The same people that voted for Donald Trump voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012. Barack Obama couldn't hold on to them because he didn't keep his promises. He promised them they would get to keep their doctor if they only took him at his word and let him show them how great Obamacare was going to be. He promised them that it would save them $2,500 a year if they would only take him at his word and let him prove to them how great it was going to be. Not only did it not save them money, it's costing them more money. It's costing you and I more money every day. And they didn't even get to keep their doctor. My kid's doctor, the doctor that has been taking care of my 16-year-old son from basically the first week he was alive, went out of business 2 years ago, shut down his own personal practice, but couldn't retire. The dude is in like his 70s. Couldn't retire, so he went back to work for a hospital practice group so he could help cover the costs because of everything that they have to deal with now through Obamacare. There have been so many personal physicians that are completely out of business. And by personal physicians, I don't mean the rich doctors in the Hamptons. I'm talking about the ones that have their own personal practices. I have seen more and more doctors shutter their businesses in the last 8 years. I have seen more and more mom and pop shops of all varieties shutter their businesses in the last 8 years. And that is all thanks to this president's policies. So for all of you that are screaming that they're racist because they wanted Donald Trump, most of the people that voted for Donald Trump are no different than me, you, or anyone else. What they are tired of is a country and a government that tells them that we know better for you what you need than you do, so shut up, sit down, and listen to us. That's not what America was founded on. That's not what America believes in. And that was the resounding answer this year, 2016, when all of America stood up and said, that's it. Too far. We're not going any further. Let's try going back the other way. Now the problem is the Republicans have no more excuses. Absolutely none. For the next 2 years, they have control of every aspect of our government, and if they screw it up, their party is done, and they know this. And some of them are still already doing things in the wrong way. I've already started seeing stories about there apparently being a secret ballot of some kind to see about returning earmarks back into legislation. If that's true, then they're already doing it wrong. And I will be one of the first people to hold their feet to the fire. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about just a little bit, and then we've got to take a break, and then I promise I'll let Dan talk some more. I have been engaged in the last few days with a lot of people from the LGBTQ community, and I have something that I want to say. And not everybody knows this, and we have different people that listen to different shows because not everybody that listens to one listens to the other. So I've been making sure that I make this known very well and very clear on every show that I do, at least for this week. I spent 12 years of my life while I ran a private security company in Oklahoma. One of the first clients I ever took on was a set of clubs smack dab in the gay community that I didn't even know existed until the day that I went to work there, when I was working for another company. The company that I was working for folded. A couple of us put together some money. Next thing you know, I had some money from some other stuff, and we invested, and I started a security business. That was the first client that I signed. I spent weekends, nights, holidays out there making sure that those people stayed safe and had somewhere that they could come and not worry about being attacked. And we're not talking about in the late 2000s. I'm talking about in the early 90s, when things were still bad for them, much worse than they are now. There were times that my people were keeping them safe by putting themselves in harm's way on a nightly basis. So I understand what some of these people are talking about that they go through. But I want you to understand something, and I want you to hear me, because I know a lot of you, whether you admit it or not, do listen to the shows. President-elect Donald Trump told you on 60 Minutes that as far as he's concerned, gay marriage is now the law of the land, and he's fine with that. So the first thing I ask you to do is take a breath. I understand that you're afraid. I understand that you think that your whole way of life is about to come under attack. I will be the first one to tell you that if this administration or any other administration stands up and tries to take away the rights from you that are due any other person in this country, I will be one of the first ones to stand up and fight with you. So please stop arguing with me just because I'm trying to get you to take a second and breathe and realize that one way or another, we're all going to make it through this.
Amen, brother. It's you and I are on the same page, and you and I have been involved in a lot of things here the last few months, and my whole goal for my little voice in this country, my whole goal is for personal freedom. I want everybody to have their own personal freedom. That's what this country is supposed to be about. And I do. I get, I got my Twitter account locked for a day this week because of a word I said about somebody that calls themselves this word. And I got locked down because of hate speech. It's getting dangerous. It's getting extremely dangerous where things are going. Now, Twitter is a private entity. If they choose to do things that way, that's fine. I will now abide by it. I won't use that word anymore. Though I'm called that word quite a bit. But it's the direction that people are taking things, they don't understand the consequences of it. The consequences are, if you stifle me and you want me stifled, it stifles you too. And that's what people don't seem to understand. If you want to stifle my free speech, it's stifling your free speech too. And people need to learn this. It's a real dangerous slope that we're going down. It really is. And to be honest, like you said, and like I've said, I didn't support Trump. I won't even say I do completely, but he's my president. And a lot of the direction where things are going, I really like. I do. I hope he keeps moving it that way, and I will support him moving it that way. But we've been heading down a very dangerous path for the last 8 years, and people don't realize it. They scream democracy. We're not a democracy. It's if you want a democracy and you want mob rule, you don't know what you're asking for.
No, exactly, and that's the thing that nobody really understands. And the thing that I try to make everybody understand is it's really easy for you to stand up when somebody's saying something that you agree with, and somebody else says that they're wrong, and all of a sudden you're trying to stifle their free speech. Let me tell you when free speech really comes into play. When free speech really comes into play is when somebody's saying something that they have the right to say. You disagree with them saying it. You may not even condone the way they say it or the language that they're using, but you will still stand up for their ability to say it. And Dan, I'm actually talking about what you were talking about last night, because you and I have talked about this before. I don't personally like it very much when people start throwing around words like some of the ones that even I have caught myself using lately when I get angry, because I think we lose something when we go there. But we're human. We get angry. Things happen. We say things we wish we could take back. Sometimes as soon as we open our mouths. Other times as soon as we hit enter. We're looking at that going, really, did I just really type that? Is there a delete button around here anywhere? And I get it. But that's the thing that I want to say this to you, because we've talked about it before in private messages. I want to say this to you in a point where everybody else can hear it. I may not always agree with the things that you say. I may not always like the way that you say them. I'm sure there's things that other people have seen me say, and they've been like, what the hell did you just say that for? But I will always defend your right to say anything you choose and any way that you choose, as long as you are not causing harm to anyone else. And that is what free speech is. That is what free speech is supposed to be. And that is what it no longer is in this country. Everybody throws around the phrase free speech. Nobody knows what it means anymore. Because you only agree with it if you like what somebody's saying. Other than that, you just... I mean, and look, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it before either. There was a time, because I remember I told you not too long ago that on the Facebook pages that we run, we have a no ban policy. That wasn't my original idea. It really wasn't. Because I was like, well, if you're going to come in here and start acting like a fool, I'm going to treat it like it's my house. I'm going to throw you out. And then one of the other people that ran the page with me said, well, if you're trying to get to the point where everybody has a chance to talk, then you even have to let the people that you don't agree with have a chance to talk. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. But I did learn it, and it's the same thing that I apply now. It's why on our website it specifically says that free speech will not be infringed. The only time I ever edit anything is if I know for sure that it's going over to one of the terrestrial affiliates, because I'm not paying the $50,000 fine. Other than that, I really don't care. And what you guys do, and that goes for everybody that works for me or with me, on your personal Twitter account is none of my damn business as long as I'm not tagged in it. And it pretty much is that simple. So I just want you to know, no matter what, you have the ability to be you. You are an adult. I will never censor what you say. I may scratch my head sometimes, and I'm sure other people do that with me, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, and I mentioned my being locked down. It's happened twice this week. And the first time, I said something that, I let my Irish come out, and I said something. And I went back and I apologized to the person. And that person still reported me. I said something, and I said something that, to be honest with you, was deserved to that person. But I still went back and apologized because I didn't like what I said. And I still got reported by them. Even though they said, thank you for apologizing, everything's great, they still reported me and got me locked down. Now, I do have a good bit of Irish in me, and it comes out. But words are words. People need to stop getting so upset over words. I admitted I was wrong, and I admitted it to people that you and I know. I admitted to them too. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Well, words are words. It's not hurting you. I get locked down for a word, yet I report people for sending me death threats, and I get an email back from Twitter that says, they weren't in violation of Twitter rules. Really, it was a death threat. That's kind of where we are. And Twitter is Twitter, and they can do what they want to do. But Twitter is moving into a very dangerous place for themselves. And there's plenty of stuff going around that shows it, where somebody wishes me death, and I call them a bad word, and I get locked down. The death threat is okay, but the bad word is not.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand how all of that works either. The only thing I can think of is, Twitter is pretty much run by a bunch of raging liberals. Sadly, the only alternatives are not very user-friendly, and one of them has completely been taken over by the alt-right. And I actually have seen people that I know that went over there and came back alt-right, so I'm never going there.
Yeah, and that makes me sad too. And I've had people tell me, yeah, go over there. It's great. And then I see them on Twitter and they've got frogs in their name. And I'm like, why would I want to go over there?
You know, is that what they do all day? Do they post the Kermit the Frog memes all day?
I don't get it. And I really feel bad for, I don't remember his name, the guy that actually created Peppy. He's really upset over this whole thing. He's like, how did my creation end up here? How did it end up here? It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon character.
You think he's mad now? Wait till it shows up on a bunch of armbands.
Yeah. It's it's ridiculous. I mean, it was like literally one tweet that started this whole thing. Somebody tweeted Donald Trump with Pepe, and boom, it went crazy. And now this guy is like, my creation is associated with the alt-right, and I'm a liberal.
Yeah, well, he's not liberal enough, because if he was, Pepe'd be dead. Just
I've seen plenty of those.
Well, this is true. All right, so I planned on taking the break a little bit early, and then we kept talking. Now we're late for the break, so we have got to take a break. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. You're listening to Robinson and Wright right here live on KLRNradio.com. It's Friday night. Where else are you going to be? We'll be right back.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical, With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is Robinson and Wright right here on a Friday night on KLRNradio.com. Want to give a big quick shout out to the Washington Warriors football team, who unfortunately lost their bid in the playoffs tonight. Unfortunately, they did lose 28-20. I know, small town football in Oklahoma. Why do you guys listening across the country care? I care because my son was on the team, and they were one game away from playing for state, so I'm a little sad. But I just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out on the radio, maybe because I know he usually listens on his way home, so maybe it'll make him feel a little better, who knows. But anyway, because yeah, they're on the bus right now, probably getting yelled at, so I doubt he's listening to me right now, but you never know. All right, so anyway, where were we before we went to break? Oh yeah, the lefties and their meltdowns. Dude, I don't know. Is it me? Does it make me a bad person that I actually enjoy the fact that we're back to picking on the left again? Because the last 18 months have seemed really unnatural.
You know, it's fantastic. I'm loving it. I mean, well, you know, like I said a little bit ago, it got my account locked down. They are completely melting down. I mean, I'm actually called a Trump supporter all the time now. I'm like, really? I spent 18 months railing against the guy, and now because I'll accept him as my president, I'm just a dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporter now. These people are just completely, for lack of better words, screwing themselves. The left is burning themselves down. I hope the right do it. You know, because, you know, like I said, I'm not a fan of every decision so far that's come out of the Trump camp, but I'm a fan of some of it. You know, I was looking at some stuff on Twitter. I think it was this morning, and a great quote from I'll give him a shout out from Rick Canton, that there is no extreme right. The right starts at the Constitution and moves left from there.
Nice.
And that's where we are. That is absolutely where we are. The Constitution is where it all starts. And we need to hold the right accountable because they start at the Constitution and they move left from there.
All right, so audience participation time. A couple things I want to go over. We've got Ron hanging out with us in the Spreaker chat. Back to the whole name-calling issue. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words trigger me and I have to run to my safe space. I guess that's the new mantra for the liberals. Also, we have at ACMA 1967 who asked the question, I wonder how exactly we're going to be able to hold Trump and the GOP accountable when that hasn't worked so far. Very good question.
That's a very good question. Just by doing what we do. I mean, I've held them accountable for the last 8 years. You know, I mean.
Well, let me tell you how we hold them accountable. It's not going to be by going into college classrooms and playing with Play-Doh and eating pizza and petting therapy dogs. It's going to be by finally keeping our word when we tell them, look, we gave you this shot because you told us this time, the same thing you've told us every other time, that if we gave you this shot, you were going to do the things that you knew needed to get done. So we listened, we put you here, now you've got 2 years to get it done. If they don't do the things that they're supposed to do, then the next time every single Republican comes up for election in the midterms, they need to be primaried and they need to be removed. It really is that simple. If we don't have a new party formed by them that can assume the mantle of the conservative movement, then every single Republican who did not keep their promise needs to be primaried and needs to be removed. Until we have the sack to do that, nothing's going to change. And we all talk about that. And all of us that stand up here behind the microphones all day long tell you guys how important it is that we do these things. And you all tell us, well, we agree with you, until it comes time to actually do those things. It's the same thing that I've heard every single election cycle for the last 12 years about, well, Rick, it's not time for a third party, but maybe next time. That's what they said in 2008. Then 2012 came. Well, Rick, it's not time for a third party, maybe next time. So that was already 2008, now 2012. 2016, the exact same thing. Rick, it's not time for a third party, maybe next time. You've been saying that for the last 12 years. When is it going to be next time? When are we finally going to hold these people accountable? Because that was what a lot of the people that were voting for Trump, that's why they voted for him, because they felt like they were holding the government responsible and accountable because they're putting somebody in there, at least they thought they were, that wasn't affiliated with the government. Now it's going to be his job to prove that at this point. And you and I have taken a completely different tact all along. It's, as I've been telling everybody, I was never Trump until the election was won, and then there's nothing I can do now but be stuck with Trump. I mean,
exactly.
Because that's what I am. I went from never Trump to stuck with Trump. He's going to be president. There's absolutely nothing that I can do about it. Anything that can be done about it at this point probably wouldn't work and is so completely shady it shouldn't even be being thought about. I saw an article the other day talking about how the Electoral College electors needed to vote their conscience. Some of them have the ability to do that because they are not bound. I don't care what those electors do because they're not bound to their state by their own rules. They can vote for whomever they choose. They are not bound. Most of the Electoral College is bound to the state that they represent. And if and when that breaks down, then we have become mob rule. And that is what the Democrats want. That's why they're making all of this noise about getting rid of the Electoral College. The Electoral College isn't a hindrance, it's a buffer. Because if not for the Electoral College, then New York and California would pick every single president every single time. The only way that would ever change is if more people started moving to the center. But the problem that happens when people move to the center, they take their leftist policies with them. You don't believe me? Ask Jen Homestead, my co-host on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She lives in Austin. Austin used to be red. It's purple now. It's going blue. because of the fact that people are moving from the urban areas in other parts of the country that are staunchly liberal, and they're taking their policies with them. This is bad. This is not what this country needs. And what we need to do, once and for all, is hold both parties accountable and make them do what we sent them to Washington to do, which is put their petty, whiny differences aside and figure out how to fix the things that are broken without making us another socialized country, because nobody but a handful want that. At least not probably until this next election cycle, because 18 to 26 seems to think socialized everything's the best way to go. That's why Bernie Sanders probably would have won if not for the superdelegate situation.
Absolutely. And you brought up Austin. Look at Colorado. I mean, I see stuff on social media and everywhere else where people in Colorado are like, they're basically saying, look, they legalized marijuana in California. You all can leave now. Because people in California have been migrating to Colorado. It's the whole idea of the Electoral College that people don't understand is it gives every state a chance, is what it does. I'll put it forth as a chance. That's what it gives them. We're a union. We're a union of states. We have 50 states plus D.C. and Puerto Rico. We have 50 states. And what the Electoral College does is it gives each state a voice. And if you don't have that voice from each state, and you have 2 or 3 states dictating who, I will say it, who rules the country, then there's a serious problem. And that is what causes civil war. The Electoral College keeps civil war from happening, yet now that Trump has won, the left wants civil war because the popular vote did not elect their candidate. It's not about the popular vote. That's what the Electoral College is about. It's about giving each state their own voice. And we aren't supposed to be completely ruled by the Fed. We are supposed to be governed by our state leadership. The Fed is supposed to be there to help. That's what it's supposed to help with state disputes. It's supposed to help with how you run your health care, not governed by the Fed, but maybe some restrictions state to state on how healthcare goes, and it's supposed to build infrastructure. That's what the Fed is supposed to do. It's not supposed to govern everybody. It's really not. People just don't understand that, and that's where they win with Common Core education and everything else. Nobody understands how this government is supposed to work.
Well, no, they don't, but that's by design anymore.
Yeah, that's been the goal. Is now we have a generation that really doesn't, a generation that screams, "Oh, ma, democracy." It's not a democracy. It's not. It's a union of states. That's what we have. We have a republic. It's a union of states. The states are supposed to have their own voice. If you don't like the voice of the state you live in, move. That's all I have to say. Move. That's the way this country is supposed to work.
No, and that's exactly how it's supposed to work. You know, it's something that too few people understand anymore. There's a reason that, you know, one of the positions that Donald Trump is about to try to appoint somebody to is called the Secretary of State. A state in and of itself isn't how we view a state. A state, and how this country was originally founded, they were independent states with a common mutual pact for defense and commerce. That was it. Each state had its own sovereign ability to rule itself in any way that it saw fit, and that unfortunately changed with the Civil War. If you'll remember, for those of you who actually were paying attention back when they actually taught U.S. history and taught it properly, pre-Civil War, it wasn't the United States of America. Every document, everything that you saw anybody write, even when you heard them say things like that, it was these United States of America, because each state was sovereign to itself, and the only thing it pledged to the other was mutual defense and commerce. Everything else was handled by that individual state. That unfortunately all changed under the Civil War, because after the Civil War, the only way that Lincoln could bring everybody back together was to federalize the government. That is when it became the federal government. Before then, the Constitution doesn't even mention anything remotely resembling the federal government that we have today. It was called the general government, and it specifically said those two things that I keep bringing up: mutual defense, mutual commerce. That was it. Everything else was handled at the state level. Everything else was handled at the state level. The states were the driving innovation of the nation because they could do things however they wanted to do them, and if it worked, great. Other states could either copy their ideas or have ideas of their own. So you'd have these independent laboratories of thought and freedom all working on the ways that they thought things should be, and some ideas were great, some ideas weren't. But now we don't have that because we have this thumb of the federal government holding everything down. That's like the National Education Association. Look, I understand that there need to be at least a federal set of baselines to make sure that people can tie their shoelaces and not cut their own fingers when they're trying to use a cutting board. I understand the concept behind federalized education, but it needs to stop at a certain point because we have all of this data now that tells us all of these different ways that we as individuals learn. There are typically 4 or 5 different ways that people learn. We know this, we have tests for this, but it isn't reflected anywhere in our education system to take into account the different way that different people learn so they can excel. I happen to be someone who learns better when I teach myself how to do things. Everything that you guys hear me doing right now, I didn't have a clue how to do any of this when I started. I had absolutely no formal training. I had a cousin who had some spare time, and we started on Blog Talk, and for about 6 months he produced everything that we did. And then I started figuring out how to take it apart, put it together, figure it out how to make this work, how to make that work, how can we take phone calls, how can we do this if I want to get away from Blog Talk, because really great platform, easy to use, kind of persnickety, half the time doesn't work right, and it sounds like really crappy AM radio, which is kind of bad if you're trying to not be really crappy AM radio. So I figured out other ways to do things. But everything that I do here, I have taught myself because that's how I learn best. There are other ways that other people learn. That was one of the things that having these individual states that could figure out how to do things for themselves worked really well, because things that worked, great. If you like something somebody was doing in a state that your state wasn't doing, you could move to that state and help them make it better. That is what we need to get back to. I understand that things have changed, and I understand that there are certain things that are never, ever going to be able to be put back in the bottle. The genie's already out of the bottle with abortion. But that doesn't mean that we can't make it better than it is now. And that is why Trump specifically said on 60 Minutes, gay marriage settled, abortion not so much. And that's because Roe versus Wade was very specific. It said safe, legal, and rare. We have at least 2 of those things, but somehow rare, they keep using that word. I don't think it means what they think it means. because rare is not having Planned Parenthood pop up on every corner like a quickie mart. That's not how that works.
No, 3,000 a day. I mean, it's you touched on something with the Civil War. Everybody thinks that the Civil War was just completely over slavery. During the Civil War, everybody in the North still had slaves. They weren't fighting against slavery. People do not understand what the Civil War was about at all. It was about plenty of disagreements. You had literally an industrial North and an agricultural South, but they all used slaves. It ended up ending slavery, which is good, but that wasn't the reason for the war. It wasn't. It was things were not fair between the North and the South in the Union. It just wasn't fair. People need to take civics. Civics just needs to be back in schools, and people just don't. They don't understand because I don't blame them. They haven't listened to how this country was formed and why it was formed and how the Constitution was written and the Federalist Papers and everything else. They don't know it. How many people I mention the Federalist Papers to and they go, "What is that? What is that?" I mean, it's ridiculous. And we've let it happen. I don't sit here and put blame on other people. We've let it happen. We've all let it happen. We are a country that doesn't even understand why and how we were formed. And we've all let it happen.
And I'm not so sure I'm going to take the blame for that, and that's only because I've said this before. I can blame schools all day long for civics being taken out and children not being taught the things that they need to, but ultimately the responsibility still lies with the parents. My kids hated me all the way through school because they had extra homework. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays was civics homework. Because if the school wasn't teaching it, I was going to teach it.
That's fantastic. And I mean, I have 4 kids. I have 2 of my 4 kids lean very conservative. 2 of them lean very progressive. And I'm fine with that. And the reason I'm fine with that is because the 2 that lean progressive, they do understand this stuff. And we've told them this stuff. And we've taught them this stuff. And if that's the way they want to lean, that's the way they want to lean. My ex-wife is very progressive. I'm not. They've leaned towards her views, but I do respect her views because I do know she is very educated on it. She just sees things that way. When we talk, and we do talk politics, her and I do, I respect her because she doesn't get all crazy nuts. She will tell me, yeah, I agree with that. That's cool. It's the extreme left that just goes absolutely crazy nuts and don't understand what this country was built on. That drives me crazy. They don't get it. They really don't. They'll sit there and they'll give me my Constitution. Yeah, the Constitution. That's what this country was built on. My ex agrees with that. She doesn't agree totally with interpretation, but she agrees that the Constitution is the law of the land.
Well, I mean, as well, she should. You really, I mean, how are you gonna disagree with that when it pretty much is the law of the land? I'm just saying.
Yeah, and we can stop talking about my ex because I don't want to talk about her anymore.
I was just gonna let you roll with it, brother. I was like, well, I don't know, maybe he's missing her a little more than usual tonight.
No, she's a great person. She's a great mother, and she does. I give her that. She was at one time. She was a conservative, and she reads things a little differently than I do. But we do agree on a lot of stuff. She agreed she didn't want Trump. She doesn't like Hillary. So, there's that. But it's people that don't understand that I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with my ex-wife's views on things because she thinks about it, and she interprets things the way she interprets them. But the people out there that really haven't read it and don't understand it, that's what I have a problem with. And it's not taught in schools. It's just not taught in schools anymore. Children aren't made. They're not forced to read the Constitution. They don't know it. My kids wouldn't know it if I didn't make them read it.
Okay, enough talking about exes, or I'm going to have to up my meds.
I hate this place. Nothing works here. The medications don't work. I've been here for 7 years.
Just saying.
Morning, Americans. Once again.
All right. Didn't realize it was going to keep rolling on to the next one. I haven't messed with SoundCloud in a while. All right, so anyway. Yeah, I just found a good excuse to throw that one in there. I haven't played it in a while. We were talking about exes, and it made me think that I need more medication. You know what, brother? We are officially about 8 minutes over.
Are we really?
Yeah, I completely lost track of time. I'm looking at the clock going, wow, we're like 8 minutes into the show that comes on after us. Oops, my bad.
We need to eventually expand this to 2 hours.
We probably will now that football season's over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no. I figure we'll probably extend it out because next season he'll be full time on varsity, so I will be away from the microphone a lot more on Friday nights. I don't have an issue leaving on Friday nights right now sometimes because he only usually gets to play for about a quarter or two, so I will go in and I will watch him play, and then when they pull him out, that's when I'll usually come home if he's at a home game. But since he'll be playing both sides of the ball next year and likely varsity full-time, there will be a few Fridays that we'll have to see if Bill or somebody wants to sit in because I won't be here. But
that's fine with me. I'm all about doing radio with Bill too.
This is true. Actually, I haven't had him on since that first night that we all did the round table of shame. I should see if he wants to come on again. All right. Yeah. So since at this point we've got to start winding stuff down, why don't you remind folks where they can interact with you should they choose to do so when you're not on the radio with me?
Yeah, when I'm not suspended or locked down. You can find me at 1911G_fan. And yeah, I'm up right now, so everything's good.
Did you just say you're up right now?
You know what I mean. I'm not suspended or locked down at the moment.
I'm just checking. All right. So anyway, I am Mick Robinson. You can hang out with me at AOTR_host. We actually have a big announcement for a lot of the shows that I'm affiliated with right now, but I'm not ready to make that announcement yet because I want to see how many other folks we can get to tag along for the ride. But yeah, you guessed it. We're about to have another affiliate. Pretty big get, actually. seems like a pretty big deal. I mean, it's another internet-based thing, but they are doing a lot of really great work, and it's run by a guy that I've actually been talking to now for a while, and he just picked up all of my live shows. So, yay. And he's looking at some others. I think we're going to do like a content share thing. So, guess what, Dan? You're about to get syndicated, whether you wanted to or not.
I'm all for it.
All right, and on that note, folks, we are out of here. We are officially 10 minutes in to the time frame of the Rhino Report, but guess what? I'm the boss, so what's going to happen? You're still going to get to hear the whole show. So sit back, relax, enjoy the rest of your Friday night. I will be back with you live first thing tomorrow morning so we can hear firsthand the weeping and gnashing of teeth of my liberal co-host on Finding Common Ground, who is not boding well with the loss of Hillary. It should be fun. Make sure you tune in. Bring some popcorn. It might be worth it. It's kind of early for popcorn. Hey, popcorn for breakfast. Can't all be a bad thing. We're out, folks. Have a good night. Take care.